What is up, y'all? What is up? What is up? What is up? It is me. It is me. It is your boy QuaMonstarG. But wait, this ain't something I'm normally on. What is this? Where am I? Mike, tell me what's going on.
I mean, you done went ahead and started talking. You might as well finish it off.
No, I'm confused. I'm confused. I thought this was a regular video, and then I started looking around. I'm so used to it. I see the red light. I'm going, but now I'm just like, where am I? Why am I? What is this? What's going on? What's up, Tim? What's going on? Tell me something good. What's up? Tell me where I am.
You a hot ass mess. What's going on, good people? Welcome to the More Diversity YouTube channel, and it is an episode of What's the Tea? And we are going to be talking about some good things today, like two good things that we have all witnessed over the last weekend, and I'm super excited to talk about it. But yeah, first on the docket is the Dragonball Z Super Hero movie that came out last weekend, and it was a fun ride in IMAX. It was personally my favorite. Not my favorite, but my first Dragon Ball Z movie that I've seen in theaters. So it was a really great experience, and it was in IMAX. I see everything in IMAX. So yeah, that was a treat for me. How did you feel, Q?
Man, I loved it. This was my second Dragon Ball movie I saw in theaters. The first was Dragon Ball Super Broly, and like that one, this too was a very amazing experience to be a part of. Just sitting in IMAX as well, watching this movie. I saw it Thursday night. I originally thought I was going to be seeing it Friday night, but my brother, he changed the tickets and forgot to tell me, so I was like scrambling. I had a matter of fact. Now we had a conversation. And then after me and you talked off the phone, I would just walk downstairs randomly. So my cousin was there. I'm like, oh, what's up? And he was like, what do you mean, what's up? What are we doing? I'm like, what you mean? Oh, we want to see the movie. I'm like, wait, you didn't tell me it was Thursday. You said Friday. And then he gave me a whole song and dance about it. But more or less, I am happy. I am very much loved it, enjoyed it. And yeah, we're going to get more into it.
Yeah.
1 second.
Oh.
No, keep talking.
But no, it was good. Even from the lead up, the climax of the marketing, and seeing the trailers and everything. And for me, I literally just watched Dragon Ball Z as a series maybe 3 years ago. I binge watched it on Marathon Feature. If you have the DVDs, they have this thing where you can do Marathon Feature, and it plays the opening one time, the closing one time, and you just go straight through whatever you have on your disc. So I did that for the whole entire Dragon Ball Z series. And like I said, I never watched it as a kid growing up. My cousins was into it. I was still watching X-Men, Justice League, all of that stuff, and my SpongeBob, all that stuff. I was not into like anime as a kid growing up. I mean, I watched Sailor Moon, and that's about it. And Pokemon, but I did not watch the ones that are I guess you could say that are the true goats, and that everybody enjoy and that everybody in love. Your Dragon Ball Z, your One Piece, Naruto, all those like I've never seen, but Dragon Ball was the one I sat down, actually watched it. I did watch Dragon Ball too. So yeah, and yeah, for me personally, I enjoyed the fuck out that movie. That movie was good to me because a lot of things that I have been wanting to happen happened. We love our Son Goku, and we love our Prince Vegeta. I'm a Vegeta stan. We love our beloved characters, and I think we've seen them go through a lot between Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, the Resurrection movies. All those movies, I think we've seen everybody, especially them two, go through a lot, or especially just Goku himself. But to see them take this movie and put two other characters as the main focus, I was already sold with that. So I think that's the number one thing that I loved about it, was that we got to see a little bit more and see how Piccolo would act in a main character situation, and as well as Gohan act in a main character situation. And yes, these are spoiled. I don't want to say spoil. It might be like spoilers, but they are the two main focus of this movie, and I appreciate that because a lot of us have been wanting more from Gohan, and not just schoolboy Gohan. But if that's what he want to do, that's what he want to do. But I think a lot of us wanted more from him, as in ascending as his dad, and others around him have done. So
facts. And let us know if you've seen Dragon Ball Superhero. Let us know in the live chat. What's up, Jay? We see you. We
what's
see you
good?
out here. For those who don't know, just not tuning in, we are starting off me and Mike talking about Dragon Ball Superhero. And then after that, we're going to talk about that for the first 30 minutes or so. And then after that, we're going to bring Avia on in to talk about House of the Dragons. And boy, oh boy,
I'm so ready to get into that with you, just because I don't want to say. I know I'm not. I'm ready. I'm so excited about that. But like I said, let's for real, bro, screen ham for real, because we some Dragon Ball Z fans, and we both been waiting on this movie. We both have talked about this movie. We talked about it up until we both saw it, and I think both of us are extremely ecstatic and happy from what we saw. Go ahead, give us some thoughts.
Yeah, so for me, I was kind of not on the fence, but I was very interested to see where this movie was going ever since they announced it and announced what direction it was going to go in both art and story direction. Because if you've seen all of the Dragon Ball movies, you know that it's very much like a very extended fight scene, or it's primarily focused on the action sequences over the story. Even in my opinion, before I saw Superhero, Dragon Ball Super Broly, that was the best in my opinion, because the story elements that were there were very strong, but what set it over the edge was the animation and the fighting, which is, in my opinion, still to this day, the best in the series, period, anime, movie, or otherwise. So going into Superhero, I was interested. I really didn't have any expectations that were too high or too low. They were just right there in the middle. So when I went and I watched it, I was shocked at how much I was enthralled in it from the beginning and how much I liked about it. Just straight up, this is the most story heavy Dragon Ball movie out there. It really puts a large emphasis on story exposition, getting to know the character motivations, the whole nine, character interactions as a whole. And I've always said one of the things that in my opinion, actually the thing that sets Dragon Ball Z over the edge is that all of the characters in the show, they're so they're so engrossing, entertaining to follow, that whenever they put more emphasis on the characters that aren't explicitly Goku or Vegeta, the show is better off for it. And this movie is the best example for it, because it doesn't focus on them at all. They're in the movie, don't get me wrong, and they have a sizable amount of things to do in it, but they're not in the story. They're not a part of the main crux of the story at all. It's Piccolo and it's Gohan, and that's where the movie shines, because you're focusing on that. You're focusing on how these characters would respond in a serious situation. Just a quick rundown of the synopsis. It's focused on the resurgence of the Red Ribbon Army and Dr. Jiro's grandson, Dr. Hedo. They're bringing him into the fold so they could create new android weapons to take over the world. But they come up with this very hilarious, elaborate lie, which I won't spoil too much, but all I will say is that it is one of the funniest misleading retellings of Dragon Ball lore ever. It's so funny, but in a way, it's believable that people who don't understand it. One of the most funniest in jokes about Dragon Ball is that all of the people in the Dragon Ball world are complete idiots who don't pay attention to anything or believe anything. And that the reasoning for why they want to reach out to Dr. Jiro's son, the reason they give him, is pretty on point with that, and it's pretty hilarious. So Dr. Hedo creates Gamma 1 and 2, which are superheroes. They're, for those who aren't familiar, some of the most iconic Japanese superheroes. They have a certain aesthetic, and he emulates that, and that's where everything kind of goes forward with that. And Piccolo, it's up to Piccolo and Gohan and a couple of more Z fighters that we won't spoil to, come and put a thwart to it. But it primarily focuses on Piccolo and Gohan as the heroes of the day. What are your overall feeling on the plot and everything, Mike? What are your feelings and takeaway from it?
I love the plot. I mean, and then you got me thinking. I think I told you this the other day. I think I'm gonna have to go back and watch the movies for you saying that this was the most story driven. I'm like, wait a minute now. I feel like we got a little story, a little bit, but I do feel like this was a more in-depth and thought out, storyline for this movie. I like the opening, how it did the whole little catch up with, showing us Dragon Ball and, showing all these things that's leading up with the whole Red Ribbon situation and how they despise Goku. And, I love that whole catch up, basically just giving you an idea of what to expect. And then to bring it all full circle at the beginning and just have that opening. So, yeah. I love the story. It was really good. And I love that it was focused on Piccolo and Gohan. I think we all been wanting that, where we can see that, especially on the big screen, that they have this opportunity to be MVP and shine. I think that was brilliant. I think we all been wanting that too. So, yeah.
Facts on facts on facts. And it's like, I do suggest you go back and watch some of the older movies, because while there is technically there's stories in all of them, but they're not the main focus. They kind of just come and go and have no real meat to them. And they just like, oh, here's the bad guy that they have to fight. And then they fight and that's it. There's no real rising and falling resolution in a lot of them. And then the ones that have them, they're not all the way focused on. But this one definitely does. And, a lot of folks who care about this will ask this question. I've been asked this same question multiple times, and I'm just going to answer it. Yes, Gohan is back in this movie.
Gohan is back.
He is back, and because that's the number one thing that people want to know: is Gohan back? Is he the badass we all wanted him to be and wanted him to stay after the Cell Saga? And I can honestly say, for this movie, he is back. He's kicking ass. He's taking charge. Once it's go time, it's time for Gohan to get involved. He does not pussyfoot. He's not trepidatious. He hops in 10 toes down and gets to throwing the hands. And you will love to see it, especially when it's the finale and all of that. I know they have been just up front with showing all of the things in the third act, so you might have seen it, you might not have seen it, but it's
the third act was a blessing. Oh my god. Sorry, I got excited.
No, it's worth getting. I was cheering. My whole theater was cheering. It was a lot to take in.
I never get to experience theaters cheer. I'm gonna tell you the last thing that somebody said in the theater. Well, I lied. This theater did cheer, but it was at the post-credit scene and at something that happened in the third act. But I be wanting to experience some. The only time I experienced somebody was when Wanda killed all those people.
Dang, then that means your movie theaters be dry. If that's the only thing they cheer for.
No, but I guess it's because when I do go to the movies, I do go I don't go at midnight. I go. I'm an old man. I go in the daytime. We were inside Dragon Ball Z at 1 o'clock in IMAX.
I saw mine at 7, so my theater was packed and ready to rock. But let's talk about some of the other things in the movie that that is worth watching. Like we mentioned, the movie is very down to earth when it has to be, and good at the character moments. Let's talk about the Goku and Vegeta parts that are in it, because those are still some entertaining moments, especially with Beerus and Whis and Broly's crew with Chilai in them. They definitely utilize that screen time very well for them. And
go ahead. My bad.
No, I was just gonna say it just because I was lucky enough to meet the Whis and Beerus's voice actors over the last couple of months, and they were very adamant that we would love this movie, and I can absolutely see why. Beerus has Whis has one of my favorite moments, character moments from him in like so far I've seen. I'm not going to spoil, but it involves his job security, and it just the way that Ian Sinclair does his voice is just very well done, and just shout outs to that. And of course, Beerus. There's a moment in the movie that had my entire theater laughing and cheering that involves Beerus, and I hope y'all get to experience it.
I think we should go out and talk about it. Nah, because I want to know, because that was Beerus's part was funny. Because Beerus, like I love Beerus. Whis is out of the two. I love Whis. Whis is me. Me is Whis. So like, no, like that whole that whole time there was like, I guess, the comedic relief we all needed, just because I feel like stakes were high. But I'm glad we got to see them. I love the whole situation with the gods and everything like that. So yeah.
Me too.
Beers is gonna be beers. Like that's
for real. Yep, Jack, you right on point with that. And yeah, like just to like really like go into it, also we want to give a shout outs to Gamma 1 and 2. They were dope. I liked Gamma 1 and 2. I really liked them, their dichotomy as a little brother, knowing a duo brother dynamic, that I felt that completely, and that whole dynamic. And plus they were awesome, and then they were clutch at the end. And
they were I really hope I hope, I would like to see them come back, just because I feel like when they do end up beefing with somebody, or they do end up like having some type of conflict with these villains, they do have some villains that they do end up being in a crew and everything like that. But again, I don't know, it was just something about Gamma 1 and 2 that just made me like, appreciate, I guess, the development of them, how they were, against and, trying to, do what they were supposed to do as what they were created to do. And then as their development goes on, and then their relationship, and then their emotions for each other and their creator, is just, that was one of those things that I really enjoyed, just by having people have that turnaround time of being, good versus evil. And he leaves me again.
Factual.
But yeah. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Welcome. We're talking about Dragon Ball Super Heroes. Superheroes. It's really
yes.
But no, I like that dynamic. And like I said, I like the development as they went on throughout the movie.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, and I hate, because as I was watching them, I did get a little mad with Piccolo at one point. I did, because I was frustrated, because I was like, I get what you're doing, but you're doing too much. Like, I get it. But them as a duo, I loved it. Like, I love the fact that Piccolo is teaching basically all his nieces and nephews the ways of the Dragon Ball Z culture.
I wouldn't say what he was doing was bad. I would say that
I knew that John was, and I told you it stressed me out, because it was like, I get what you're doing, but okay, now cut the act. It's time for you to spring into action. And I think
in Piccolo's defense now, if there's one person who absolutely would have it in that situation, it was Gohan. It was Gohan. So it's not like Piccolo was just picking any random. I mean, we saw at the beginning when Piccolo went to check in on Gohan, he tried to throw the punch. Normally, if that was in the earlier Super arcs, Gohan wouldn't have been able to block it. But he said he wasn't slacking off in training. He wasn't like Goku levels of training. Like, he was still keeping up enough to keep up with Piccolo. He didn't catch the second punch, but it is what it is. Also,
when he told him to put his suit on, though, that was so funny. He was like, oh, it's so heavy. Yeah, that was so cute.
Also, I want to touch on two things. One, I loved how the Easter egg that Gohan has two of the most important family pictures in his den. One being the picture where him and Goku first went to Kame house at the beginning of Z, and the second was at his wedding with with his whole family and Videl. That was awesome. And two, I don't know if you picked up on this, but the parallel between him and Goku kind of sort of being negligent dads when it comes to their passions. Goku will kind of just drop everything to train to fight, and Gohan seems to drop everything to study. And that might be an example of Saiyan culture where if a Saiyan is passionate about something, they'll be focused on that, like whatever they're passionate about. Did you pick up on that at all? Was that something that you were paying attention to?
Yes, I was. I like it.
Exactly. And then Super Saiyans. Shout outs to the Super Saiyans out there. My brother Quentin, he was telling me about how that's a great example of how nature is responding to the Saiyans living on Earth for all of those years, that they're starting to, adapt to that, as like in real nature, more or less. So I guess we can round it off with two last things. The first being the ending, the final fight. How were we feeling?
Wait. We're gonna jump to the Hold on. I feel like we missing something. I mean, even though I know we're doing a speed run, just because but dang, I feel like we missing something. But the final fight, go ahead.
Yeah. So, how you feeling about that? What are your? Let me get your thoughts before I say my thoughts and opinion.
I enjoyed it. I've missed this franchise. I've missed this franchise, and I don't know. It's like I'm ready for the next season of Super. And like I said in my tweet, I need 3 movies and like 2 more seasons. Like, I don't know. It's just like watching this movie in IMAX and just seeing the fight scenes and seeing this final battle and like the climax up to it. It was epic. It was amazing. Seeing even with the first fight with Gamma and Gohan, having how he was putting all into it, and is sending himself into his greatness and everything, and then having to come and then fight this big old Cell beast. Like, that was crazy.
Cell Max.
Huge. Cell Max. He was huge. His foot was huge.
Spoilers for the final battle, by the way, because we're gonna quickly just touch on some of the major points. And also, Pan, we can all agree, was adorable. She was just straight up just adorable. Top 10 daughters in Dragon Ball. She was just the best. My favorite scene from the movie, one of my favorite scenes, I should say, is when they were trying to kidnap her, and Piccolo was disguised as a Red Ribbon guard, and she dropped the first guy. And then she went ahead and she recognized Piccolo because she sensed his ki, which is cool that she's able to do that. And then Pan's teacher, she's like, "So, is that you, Mr. Piccolo?" So Pan, I'm like, "Who is this guy?" "Sorry, Janet. That was one of Mr. Satan's bodyguards. You know how it is." So the fact that Piccolo knew her teacher well enough to be on a first name basis, and plus Chris Sabat saying "Sorry, Janet" as Piccolo, like, that just had me rolling. Like, there's just something about how when people are in the know about the Z Fighters, how nonchalant they are. They're like, "Oh, there's this green guy. Oh, that these guys fly and do all of this stuff." Like, I just love that part of Dragon Ball lore. But going back to the final fight, it was awesome. I stood up and cheered when Gohan went beast mode, wink, wink. And then when he put the final touches on the fight with the move he used, that was awesome to see. I also like the characters they chose to be in the final battle because, you don't see them normally in the DBZ movies doing a lot. And it was still cool. And they all made sense to be there in their own little way. But let's give a review. Let's give our review.
I'm gonna say, when Pan did throw them hands at that the one that was just like, "Don't you trying to run?" and gave him the 1-2 kick punch. I'm ready to see her grow up and see how she's gonna, what's gonna be some challenging faces that she has to face as she's gonna be like amazing, growing and learning, her different things. You told me to rate the final the battle, or you want me to rate the whole movie?
I'll say this first. One, I think they're going to have her be stronger than they portrayed her when GT was coming out. I think that they might. I think they'll do that. And two, rate the movie. What's your rating for the movie?
What did I give it that night? Didn't I say 9 out of 10, 9.5, or I said 9 out of 10?
I think you did.
I said 9 out of 10 only because, like I said, I saw this was my first one in theaters. It was in IMAX. It took up the whole screen, all that color. I love the opening. I love the lead ups of the different acts. I loved how, you know, Gohan and Piccolo are the main focus. I love how Pan and Piccolo's little relationship is, and you know they had that work together. Gamma 1, Gamma 2 did what they needed to do as villains and turn it into turning away from what they had and ultimate sacrifices and things.
Trials and tribulations as well.
Broly though, I want Broly. I love Broly. I love Broly. But no, overall, like I said, I think it was I gave it a 9 out of 10. I mean, it did what I wanted it to do, and I'm ready to buy it and watch it as much as I want.
Facts on the facts. For me, after sleeping on it for about a week, I initially said it was an 8, but after sleeping on it and hearing other people who watched it, including you, and then like putting everything up on it, I'll say that I give it about an 8.59 out of 10 too. It like I cannot express enough how much I valued them really leaning into the story first and then the action second because it worked. And I think Dragon Ball is the king of doing that. And yeah, I will be right back. Go ahead and toss us to the next thing.
All right. Yeah, so go see the movie. It's really good. We're gonna move on to the next segment, even though Q will be here for that. But y'all know who the other co-host, who our other teammate is. Oh, and she done left. What is happening with technology today? I say let's do it.
I'll I just had to go. You didn't have to kick me out. I was gonna be right back. I was gonna say we are about to talk Game of Thrones, y'all. So go ahead, tweet us out. Let your folks know we about to talk House of the Dragons. Let them know exactly.
Is you gonna come in or not?
Yo.
You gonna come in or not?
We have now.
Like the internet was being shaky on my part.
We have now entered. We have now entered the House of Dragons part of the stream. So I know a lot of y'all.
It's about to go down. It's about.
Hey, how you feeling? Down. Welcome.
Share this video. Hashtag House of the Dragons. Let everybody know we finna get into the Game of Thrones stuff. So
like I don't know, like this. Woo!
When I tell y'all,
amazing.
I watched it twice. In one day. That's how good it was. I watched it twice in one day. Normally, I don't watch the same episode twice in a day, but this one I was like, okay, I'll watch it. I'll do it. And it was worth it. Like it was good. It was really good. Like absolutely. Just the whole.
No, she's gonna.
Well, as we wait on Avia, let's just tweet out right now. We're talking about House of the Dragons.
Oh my god, I ain't tweet nothing. Dang. I'm ready to hear your thoughts just because of yeah, it's gonna be amazing to hear your thoughts. You back?
So just like the whole historical breakdown of the succession of even before Rhaenyra even comes into play, just how Viserys took the throne before Rhaenyra, his aunt, did. And when I tell y'all like how they introduce each character, was
Mm-hmm.
amazing because when we see Rhaenyra, the first thing that we see is her riding a dragon like it's a pet, like Daenerys did. It was like, oh, this brings flashbacks to
Right.
before Daenerys went crazy, to Daenerys riding the dragon, and it's like, oh yeah, this is it. And just seeing King's Landing before 172 years before Game of Thrones takes place, and you're like, okay, now we're getting to a whole different type of element of the show, and it's more Targaryen based, and it's more as far as because Game of Thrones is more about the other houses, Stark, Baratheon, Targaryen, like all the other houses pretty much fighting for the Iron Throne. This one's pretty much like Targaryens in fighting for the throne, and I'm like, this is
Right.
going to be interesting because we see Rhaenyra is just a young woman who she's a princess, and she's pretty much just going through the motions. She knows she's not going to be queen, so she's just doing her own thing. She even tells her friend Allison, who will come to play later, that what, all I want to do is ride on dragon back, travel, and eat cake. That's it. Like that's it. And she's not thinking much of it. And then Daemon, Viserys' brother, he you know he's pretty much a rogue. Him and the Gold Cloaks pretty much terrorize the city, trying to get rid of the criminal element in their own Game of Thrones type of way. And then, King Viserys is just trying to rule his kingdom. He has all these people in his ear, and his wife is pregnant, and, she's had several miscarriages before. She's had to bury several children. Rhaenyra was the only one who survived. And her and Rhaenyra have a really good relationship. Like, she really cares about her mother, and her mother really cares about her. And, and her dad too. Viserys cares about Rhaenyra too. Like, he loves her too, just as much. He also loves his wife, which is why he really cares about her. He wants to protect her and the baby. Now, and he has this feeling that, it's going to be a boy because he wants a male heir. And Rhaenyra knows this, which is why, she's not really tripping about it because she knows through a succession. So she's just like, it is what it is at this point. And, unfortunately, in a very, very realistic birth scene, spoiler alert, the mother and the baby die. It's very sad. It's, everyone is telling everybody but Rhaenyra. Like, if you see the scene, Rhaenyra is, she's watching the tournament, just chilling, watching the tournament. And then everyone's talking to everybody else but her, even though she is the one who probably has the right to know first before anybody. Well, her and the king are the ones who really have the right to know first before anybody else.
Right.
And, since she is since Daemon is doing his own thing, and, he's pretty much getting on the council's nerves, the king is like, look, you're not my heir anymore, right? Rhaenyra is my heir now. And she's going to be my heir. And, Rhaenyra, Viserys takes Rhaenyra, personally, he takes her aside. He pretty much tells her, a lot of people are going to be coming for the Iron Throne. Like, you need to prepare yourself. And that has never been the truest statement in Game of Thrones. That's the whole point. What does Cersei say? In the Game of Thrones, either you live or you die. And that comes true to what plays on later, because I was doing a little research, and I didn't read the books, but now that I'm researching all this stuff, I want to now, because I want to know, okay, what's going to happen? Because another spoiler, Allison, who is Rhaenyra's best friend, her father, who Lord Hightower, he is the king's hand, like his right hand man. Like, he's the one advising him. He's the one who tells him to get rid of Daemon, because him and Daemon hate each other. Like, to the point where if it came to blows, they would try to kill each other. And Hightower has the idea of pretty much grooming Allison to become Viserys' wife, to become the next queen, because he doesn't want Daemon to have the throne. So now Allison is thrown into this mess, and she's going because if you see the trailers, there's going to be like a flash forward, like maybe
It's
15,
like
20 years.
that trailer had me so damn shook. Like
and that's going to be they're fighting between those two, like because they were best friends. And now you mean to tell me that because now I'm considered the heir now, like I'm the heir. My father has officially made me the heir for all these people pledging their allegiance to me. And now you mean to tell me that my best friend is marrying my father, and now the chances of me being queen are tarnished, especially if she has an heir, like if she has a kid. Now that line of succession is theirs now, and now I have no choice. So I think that's part of the reason why there's animosity. I know there's a lot more than that.
Yeah.
But that's definitely part of it.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and just, now that Ava's given us that awesome breakdown synopsis of the episode, I want to just hop into the individual thoughts, and not to delay Mike his not purpose, but the thing he's been wanting me to speak on.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. So Q has never watched Game of Thrones, and I'm like so excited because he's going to watch Game of Thrones. But I mean, we were all in a group chat, and I'm just like, you might as well just watch it.
I said. What I told Mike was that I'm gonna see what these 5 episodes, because I'm gonna give it that. I'll unless episode 2 is just bad.
I mean, you had already said what you said in the chat when you said Dragonish, so
right.
I say like I told you.
For you to eat your words. That's all.
Like I told Mike. What's up, Josh? Like I told Mike. I'm going to give this show the first 5 episodes, and if I'm like hooked, if I'm engrossed, when it goes on its first break for whatever reason, I will start the original series. So I am at best passively aware of the significant moments in the series, and I know that regardless of how I end up feeling about this show, the last season of Game of Thrones will piss me off because it's pissed everybody off that's ever watched the show. So I understand that.
I don't think everybody was pissed off though, because I wasn't that pissed.
It was very disorganized. I mean,
yeah, it was a chaotic mess of let's go ahead and rush. And since we're not getting no more, let's go ahead, cut all this development and just rush everything and just put it all like boom. Like take a whole bunch of paint and just throw it on a piece of paper. That's all.
I'd rather would it come out a year later and be perfect than come out, when it did. Because there were some elements that were really great, like the long night, like the episode where shit goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff like elements in that episode, when Arya goes back to King's Landing and Daenerys pretty much, destroys the town. Like there was a good element, but it was just so unorganized with how they did it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll see. I'll see. Y'all know my taste. Y'all know my temperament. So y'all will see if I rocks with it. But
just watch this season and that's it.
But I'll say this. I'll say this though, as a first-time consumer of Game of Thrones properly, not just passively, I liked what I saw. I took some notes down. I'm not gonna read every one of them off, but I'll read some.
No, read them off. That's
read them, please.
Read them. We love.
There's like 20 notes.
No, but no, for real, because I'm telling you, that's why I'm kind of glad you watched it, because for me, I love POVs and I love reactions. And how you wrote your notes out was you reacting to what you saw for a first-time viewer who's never been in this type of you've never seen anything in this type of universe. So I think it was kind of cool to see your notes, and it was amazing.
Josh. Yes, Josh, we are House Valerian. We are House Valerian. Yes, we are, because he's the only one that has goddamn.
I'm assuming that's the black guy's house. I'm assuming that's the black guy's house. because I was under the assumption I just
protect that man at all costs.
like I thought that because he had white hair, he was one of the black Targaryens, but I guess not. So I'm gonna read off my notes in its entirety at the request of Avia and Mike. I apologize in advance.
That's what this episode is based off, is your notes, because it's just your reaction was funny. Like it's certain ones that I'm gonna cackle at, but it was so funny just.
They're hysterical. Right. They are hilarious.
Like it's perfect for somebody who's never been engulfed into this. So that's why I'm glad that you're here to share your thoughts.
Please
go ahead now.
Alrighty. So upon watching the opening, my first note was the dragons look cool. So I'm just like, okay, so they're not skimping out on the CGI, because some of these pandemic era or post pandemic era streaming service shows, they CGI be a little iffy. Their CGI be a little iffy, and this was not one of them. Then I was wondering if one of the dudes trying to tame the dragons was the same guy from the Matrix Revolutions, not Harvey Lennox, but the commander in the suit of armor when the machines was coming in and he sacrificed himself. He kind of looked like him, a little older, but then when they showed a better picture of him, I'm like, no, that's not him. Almost looked like them, but it wasn't. And then we go a little further down. My next note was, of course, they're not listening to the black dude making the most sense, who represents House Valerian. I'm seeing, and he was making the most sense. He was trying to make sure everything was situated, and they were brushing him off. And I was like, well, there that goes. And then when once we got down to Alicent and Renea, and then introduced to Prince Daemon, I said, this is Game of Thrones, so I got real scared of an early uncle niece romance, because the way Renea and Daemon were speaking to each other was a little bit too lovey-dovey.
That was something I researched.
I was like, nah.
That's something me and my brother researched, because he's a big Game of Thrones fan too.
That
comes to play later.
I was like,
I told you outside the family tree, I'm a little pissed, but it is what it is. But God, damn.
So I was like, yeah, I know that Game of Thrones love that incest play, so I'm just gonna leave that alone. But then I followed that up with Matt Smith is acting, like in all caps. Matt Smith is acting, and then in all caps, a bona fide bastard, because of course that was the scene shortly after the scene Avia mentioned at the up front, when the gold capes were going through and basically dismembering and killing all of the thieves and rapists and murderers. Allegedly, I kind of was a little bit, were they, or was that just him bored? I didn't know if that was.
To be honest, I felt like it was like, I felt like they said when they were saying that when he did it because he can do it. He has the power.
Right.
Y'all keep naming him as these different things, and I guess this is the last thing y'all named him as. So he gonna take that shit. If he gonna be the executioner, let him be that shit. Like,
right. But then I watched the post show interviews, like they do, and he was basically Matt Smith was describing Daemon as like, oh, he's not a bad. He's very upfront. He's not somebody trying to destabilize the kingdom. He's just trying to do the best. So then I'm like, okay, maybe these folks deserve to get castrated and dismembered. Who knows? But they definitely left the scene ambiguous, and I'm interested to know if that was a choice, or if that was just me interpreting a scene that was meant to be straightforward. Then I said, because there was a tournament that was happening to potentially, come up with a new heir in case they found Daemon or what's the guy's name? The king's son to be unfit. I said Matt Smith, he had the Nightmare, if played Soul Calibur, the character Nightmare, his armor to me was very reminiscent of that. And I said he looked dope. So that was my next note.
It was definitely cool armor. It was some cool armor.
No, that was, like when you said, even when I saw your notes say that, and this is before I was like, child, costume department, they in they bag.
Yeah, it was. I was like, damn, they really going hard in the paint. Then I said Daemon's challenge is not going to end well, and the very next note was it did not. It very much Did not. First, with him choosing, going back to what Avia brought up, Hightower's son. I believe that's who he was, his son. And Damon promptly embarrassed him, bashed his face in as a message because Hightower is the biggest enemy of Damon in the council, in the seats, of King's Landing and as such. He definitely wants Damon up out of there because he sees him unfit to be the heir. And that was Damon, basically giving him the double bird, saying, yeah, right back at you. And then after that, my next note, I say, sweet Jesus, there's a love triangle between a niece, her uncle, and her girlfriend. And I was like, wow, they're really gonna go there? Is that what I'm seeing? It's like, because Allison, as Avia said, she's a high tower as well. And, Damon goes to her directly and like, do I have your favor, young miss? And then she goes and gets the little favor. She eyeballs her daddy, and her daddy's like, gave her a look, and then she put the little brooch on his lance, and then looks at Renee, and then it's another one of them weird looks. I'm like, oh damn, this is Game of Thrones, all right.
Say it one more time.
And I'm like, oh damn.
No, you described it perfectly.
Oh god.
Oh Lord.
I mean, I'm just, as a first time observant, this is what I'm picking up on. That's vaguely familiar, and that was some of the things.
That was funny.
And then this is like the part where Baelor, the king's son, or the pregnant, the birthing scene, and I wrote, and it looks like things are getting worse, and I'm getting very scared. That's when my anxiety was starting to kick in, because they call him, his wife is giving birth, and they're like, man, there's complications. She's having trouble, and I'm like, oh fuck, is something gonna happen? Is he gonna get killed? Red Wedding style, from what I heard, there's a thing that happened. I thought it was gonna be some sort of assassination. I thought that Damon was gonna get killed. I thought something was gonna happen. It was just so tense. And then in all caps, my next note was, fuck, they're getting fatality because
that was the tournament. That was what I liked about that, was going back and forth.
Because someone said that that scene in particular, the birthing scene, they asked all women to watch it, and they said it's perfect amount, but sometimes it wasn't bloody enough. Like birth, like it wasn't bloody enough in some women's opinion. Like, yeah, like you have no idea how childbirth can be. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think they knew their limits. I mean, I feel like, and it is like John said, it's a hard scene to watch, because it's like, as it was happening, and I think now I want to say, I can't even say what I want to say, but like, it was just the back and forth, and like seeing the tournament happening, it was just a whole bunch, because it felt like the birth of violence as well. But like, it was a lot going on. But yeah.
My eyes was closed most of that scene, so I wouldn't know how much blood they used.
Child, that scene was not terrible, but that scene,
it was realistic. It was realistic.
It was very realistic, and to hear them say that when they. And it's the way that they try to how they broke it down on the after episode, where they was trying to show, there is no type of medicine or anything that can help her or anything, because you needed him to make a decision. I'm
gonna get to there, because I have the perfect descriptions for everything you're about to say in regards to that scene. So my next one, because going back to the tournament, I do want to touch on this before we go back to the pregnancy scene. The monologue, the queen, I would say, of House Valerian, is that what the terminology she would be? Lead lady. Basically, she was giving a monologue about how these people participating in the tournament don't know war. They're just violent for the sake of being violent, as they cut between these folks getting maimed and sliced and killed. And I was just like, damn, these are like straight up Mortal Kombat fatalities. And I found that dichotomy between her speech and juxtaposing it with the hyper violence to be very significant, and a hint of things to come, basically saying that.
Since you said that, that's what I'm ready for. Like, I am ready for dragons breathing fire at each other, like flying through the clouds, like, so like going at it. Like that's what I'm ready for. Like I'm ready.
I mean, shoot, the preview gave us that, so I know we in for a treat.
Like this, you can tell that the tournament, that whole tournament part was representing the end of the Gilded Age of that, and now we're finna see the decline. But before we get to that, my next note after F was me saying the F word about 9 times, because that was when we cut back to the pregnancy scene, the giving birth scene. And I was just like, oh, this is rough. Then I said Jesus, because that was like right at the point where not only was there was the birthing scene on one end, but then you had to cut back to Damon fighting. I think was it the Baratheon dude that he was fighting, or was it somebody else that it got real tough in the tooth?
It was like he was beating the shit out of Damien, no shame. Because when he took that goddamn motherfucker, was like, woo, woo, woo. I was like, dang.
As soon as Damien got unhorsed.
No shame, he humbled his ass a little bit. He had to, because he was coming at him like it. First of all, even in the whole tournament when he did his first run, Damien, it was like, you damn cheated, no shade. You clipped the goddamn. You clipped the goddamn horse. So it's like that karma came right back for your ass. Like, but that was crazy how that whole scene just between him and that guy. I loved it because I do feel like, and I hate to say because I do like David, but I feel like he did need to have a little bit of humble. Like he had to be humbled just a little bit. Just because one, this is just the opening episode. You got a lot of trial and tribulations to go through. You got a lot of shit to go through. So stop trying to overkill so quickly, like, you know, because he was trying to, like, you know, flex a little bit. But I'm glad that whole fight went down the way it went down.
Oh yeah, when Damien got unhorsed, I'm like, oh yeah, some shit's about to happen.
Oh yeah, that shit was cheap as hell.
Damien got knocked off his horse, and he went to his squad and said, "Sword, give me my sword."
That mother was embarrassed.
He was heated and embarrassed. So my next note is about when Damon got defeated, and because he tried to goddamn sneak him, and then he like, nah, no fam, and then he like, shake my hand, and he smacked his hand out the way. I know all about that.
I wouldn't shake nobody's hand if I got my ass beat.
Yep. Then we of course get to the finale of the birthing scene where they do the deal, and it was rough. It was rough because, as Avia brought up, that he had to choose between his unborn child, or his wife and the unborn child die, and he chose his unborn child, and the wife was slit open from the stomach to get the baby out. She did not survive, which my note said, "Well, you got that damn air," because I was pissed at him. Then my next note was, or not, and then the dizzy emoji faces, because baby Balin did not make it. He died shortly after leaving the womb, which is rough. That's objectively rough. And
I mean, that's so sad, because it's like when he was making the decision, I was like, okay, I know what you're gonna do, but then I was thinking, like, what if it's a girl? Like, you know,
that was another thing. I was like,
what if it's a girl? But then if she wasn't gonna survive, no matter if she gave birth or not, he was still gonna lose at the end of the day. So it just felt, I guess, I just felt bad for him as a human being that you did lose 2 things at one time. You still do not get your heir of a boy that you want, and then you also lost your wife.
Well, it's not yet. At least not yet. At least not yet. Not yet. But
I'll say this. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna. And what really hurts is that, like I was saying, no one told Rhaenyra, and she was the last person in that whole little box,
right,
to know. And I was curious to see what was her, like, if she was to run in, you know, the room and see her mother like that, like she would have like imploded, because when after she gets done riding her dragon at the beginning, she goes to check up on her mom, You know, she goes to like, hey, are you okay? You need to be resting. You know, you need to do this. You need to do that. And I feel like if she was there, like if there was a scene that they wrote where she, you know, saw her mom in that state, because she was following everybody else, she would have just lost it. Like she would have just, because like when you see, you know, the funeral scene, like when they cut to the funeral scene, you know, with her being buried, you know, it's before, and you know, the dragon is, you know, on the cliff. You know, her dad is like in tears, like he can't, like he's distraught. And then she turns to his dad, and now she's in tears. You know, when she bravely says Dracarys because she could barely get it out. Like she was brave enough to finally, you know, say it, but like, man,
Yeah. I thought that if she would have gave birth to a girl that he was going to have her killed. I'm just like so out of it.
no, she would have had it killed. He wouldn't have had it killed.
I don't think he would have did that. I just think he would have been pissed. I mean, but I don't think he would have killed another girl, because I mean, if that was the case, he would have killed Daenerys. You know,
the reason I said that because the way they were emphasizing the pressure he was feeling that you know, this was the last chance with her. I figured that he might have snapped, but as a stupid person once said, I guess we'll never know, because they both ended up dead, the baby and her. And of course, the very first time we hear that iconic phrase used, it's during a objectively pivotal, terrible moment. And like I said, they said the line, but more importantly, sheesh, because that was a rough scene to watch, especially when she said that Renee said, I wonder if he was finally happy in the moments where he held a son. And that was a pretty powerful line from her. They were acting their ass off. This was not a poorly acted or phoned in series.
Everybody did what they needed to do as far as every scene from the beginning to the fucking end. And especially on that scene, because you can tell she was holding back from actually saying it, because I mean, at the end of the day, that's her little brother and that's her mom. So, and then the way that she looked at her dad, because she knew what she had to do, child, that was a whole sad ass scene.
I'm telling you, like, was like she was in tears, like she was like, because she saw how distraught her dad. Because like it wasn't just one of those like, oh, I'm married for the sake of, you know, like I married her just for convenience. Like he really loved her, like he really did. Like it was like it might have the marriage, sure, at first maybe it might have been for convenience, but you could tell that like in his last moments with her alive, he was like, I love you so much. Like he told her that, like, I love you. Like before they really, you know, before they made the decision to take the baby out, he those were his last words to her.
Facts on facts. And then Damon stepping up. That was the point in the show where I'm like, okay, Damon is not some loose cannon, crazy, chaotic individual. This is somebody that ultimately, like you said, he might act out because he's like have so many, like, you know, he's just using his power. But when the rubber hits the road and it's time to buck up, cowboy, he's there with his family to make sure things aren't falling apart. And, you know, he was the one that, you know, pushed Renea to, you know, do what she needed to do and say, Dracarys. And then the dragon came and gave them a Targaryen funeral. And I want to go to the next scene, the next pivotal scene. I put a note down, and that was the scene where they're discussing, okay, who should be the next heir. And then you have the king, who was basically lets him know, it's my brother, it's Daemon, it's him. And they were, you know, basically saying one side was like, it should be Renea. The other side was, you know, saying that it shouldn't be Daemon for sure. And I just put, the scene is great. You can feel the desperation and emotion throughout, and they were really acting down in that scene. Then I put
before you continue, something very interesting in that scene. Rewatching it, like as soon as you see, you know, as soon as that next scene when they're discussing the air, the first words that come out of the king's mouth is, "Where's Rhaenyra? Where is she?" Even though she's the cupbearer, like she's the cupbearer, he wants her there. I think the reason why he made her a cupbearer is because even though she may be a female, I think in the back of his mind, King Viserys knows he wasn't going to have a male heir. So that's why he wants her in that space to know business, you know, how to conduct the business of the kingdom. Like, I feel like That's the main reason why he wants her there. Not just to pour ale for the people, but to learn, to see how this is ran.
Right.
Yeah. And then Damon listening in the shadows of the meeting, so he, showing that he's always in the know. Things will always get back to him. And then I put I'll thank you, Josh, for putting the names in goddamn chat because I was out here drowning. Yes, Otto Hightower was talking too wild to Corliss, and I agree. I put my next, that goes right into my next note where I say, so Hightower's a bitch, and then followed that up with, so Damon was right to hoe out Hightower earlier because only a bitch made person like Hightower could do and say the things that he does. Somebody that carries themselves with dignity and respect ain't gonna do that. But then again, this is Game of Thrones, which is par for the course.
There is no respect in Game of Thrones.
Yes, indeed. And
nobody is safe. Nobody.
And I think that was one thing that I was like, as I was watching, I was like, you know what? I ain't even gonna set myself up this time because when I watched Game of Thrones, I watched it when they had that big hiatus before the last 2 seasons came on. I binge watched it, and I got attached to a lot of characters, and I learned the hard way to don't get attached to characters. So this time, going, fuck all you hoes. I don't care.
Look, I say expect the unexpected. I guess that's the phrase for this. Like, come in with an open mind. Don't like you said. Don't get attached.
I'm trying my best not to get attached to characters, but I think that's what I liked about this episode is being not seeing this whole universe and this whole type of aesthetic for this long and being able to be wrapped up in the emotions that I feel at the end of the episode. And ready for the next episode. I'm ready for, like I said, I said, give me episodes 2 through 7 right now. Because after seeing that promo,
like I am so ready for like the 20-year, like the 20-year flash forward. So I'm like, oh, some shit has gone down. Like,
put a pin in that, because I want to come back to that at the very end because I sure had some questions about certain things. But I'm glad you brought that up because we're gonna come back because I got some questions about that when we get to the end. But I said that when we got to the point where Avia brought up earlier about Hightower trying to pimp out his own daughter to Corliss, King Corliss, I said this is sick face emoji 6 times because it was very sick and dark-sided. How he was.
It was Viserys. It was King Viserys.
My favorite story. I love this book.
Yes, King Viserys. Thank you. And then I've said machinations, gasp. That was my next note because they cut to the scene where Damon was at his brothel place where he kicks it, and then they didn't show what he said. They said they had Hightower say what he said to King Viserys, and then I cut to the next scene where King Viserys officially confronted Damon. They had a spat. Damon basically said that he felt like his kindness made him weak and he couldn't see the vipers in his house that were there. And then I put the drama gasp because this was all very dramatic. And then at the end of the scene, he said that you're no longer, I have an heir and it's not you. And then he told Damon to kick bricks, going back to his crib, going back to his wife, which, by the way, I just want to touch on something earlier. Damon said, he said, do I go back to that bronze bitch? That's my wife. And I'm like, wait, is he married to a black woman? Because like, is that what he's trying to say? But being a real motherfucker about it? Because I don't appreciate him calling his potential black wife a bronze bitch, but maybe he was just lying. I don't know. I'm like, you're not going to call a white woman bronze. So is he being racist about this? But I hope that's not the case. I hope he was just fronting and being Games of Thrones. Because I'm trying to, like, my stand card on Damon was kind of going in and out throughout the episode. I'm like, all right, where you following that, bro? I need to know straight up because I don't want to go ahead and stand you and then you be like I don't like black people. I don't like these people. I'm like, I don't want that to be the case. So I'm gonna need that to be cleared up in episode 2 because I don't want to be on pins and needles. But King Viserys said, "Go back to your wife. go back to your house and you're going to stay there. No more shenanigans in the town, or you will be dealt with post haste. And he did. And then King Viserys cut himself on the Iron Throne, which is the second time he's done that. That was another thing throughout the episode that they were showcasing, was that the Iron Throne is injuring him, maybe showing that his time on it is at an end and that he's not suited to sit on it. This is where y'all come in and confirm that thought.
Keep your thoughts, because it's good thoughts.
And then I put in capitalization Ray is, because I just abbreviated it, Renea Ray. Ray is the heir. I legitimately thought they were going to swerve us. I didn't think they were going to be that straightforward and make her the heir. I thought that they were trying to set up some sort of conflict that pit her and Daemon versus the king, because that was like showing the king finally losing it and listening to the bad people. But when they had said that, oh, he's actually going to do the quote unquote logical thing and make his daughter the heir, something that's unprecedented, but also something that is more logical than making Daemon the heir at this point in time. I was like, oh, okay. And then
it still set some conflict, because I mean, you can tell people were upset about the shit.
And but the only person who wasn't, as far as like Rhaenyra actually taking the throne, was Daemon. Daemon was not upset about that. Like that was something he wasn't upset about, because like he was mad, that the king was talking, everybody else was talking, shit about him, behind his back. But he was like, if anyone, deserves to be here, it's you. Like, and he, and he was behind it. Well, we know why. Later, we know why. But it's just, that's his niece. He say what you want about Daemon, but he was always in Rhaenyra's corner. Like,
right.
He just said, like, that's one thing about Daemon. Like he was always in Rhaenyra's corner.
I think Daemon shows loyalty. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I think he shows loyalty in a love. What's that? He shows it in a hard way. Like, he loves hard, but he shows it in a bad way. But his loyalty is there. It's just, I just want to say the king cutting himself on this damn throne is pissing me off. Every time he cut himself, that last scene when Daemon had left out and he cut himself, I was just like, okay, you're gonna keep keep cutting yourself, keep making yourself sick.
Yeah, because if you get in them olden days when you got cut by metal and you let it get infected, that's a bad deal.
Bad.
Like, it is bad. But then it makes me think: does everybody that's sitting on the throne, is that the pain of the throne, sitting on the throne? Like, is that one of the pains? I've never read the book, so I don't know anything. But is that a thing where when you sit on a throne because it's made of all that shit and all those swords, is that just a pain thing that you have to go through?
Who knows? I will know. My last two notes were Whelp, because that was when he gave her the rundown of the Song of Ice and Fire, which of course is
beautiful.
As I know, even I know, that is the prophecy, that is the crux of the Game of Thrones plot line. The show, the Song of Ice and Fire, that's the White Walkers uniting the realm, etc., etc. That whole deal. That was a nice way to tie it all together, I felt like. And then when they were cutting in between to the coronation of her being officially named the heir, I quoted the late great Heath Ledger and said, "And here we go," because now the conflict
go down.
Mm-hmm. So yes, now it's time for me to ask the question, because I noticed it, thought I was tripping, but watching the previews of the show and then watching the previews of the future episode, I'm like, wait a damn minute. Why the fuck unless they're introducing an older mystery sister, why is Rhaenyra both older and a different actress? Are they doing a time jump? Is that what they're doing? Are we only staying in this time period for about 2 to 3 episodes and then they are going 20?
That's what I'm curious about. Like, I don't know, like, how they're gonna do like the intercutting of Rhaenyra and Alice and everybody, when they were young women as opposed to when they're like older. So I don't know how they're gonna do it. It's interesting. That's one thing that's gonna interest me, because like they didn't because they didn't, Game of Thrones. It wasn't like a time jump like that, or like like intercutting between two different times. So it's like, and how they've been promoting, young Rhaenyra and young Allison. It's like, okay, they're propping them up to be like main characters of the show. So I'm like, okay, so is it pretty much going to be like, this first episode is pretty much, this time period just to get us, so we can understand the characters, who they are. So are we going to see some like an older Rhaenyra, older Allison next episode? Like, are they going to just like keep intercutting between the two? I'm curious now. I'm curious. That's one thing that when I found out that was the older version, when those were the older version of those characters, like, oh, okay, so
Right.
it's
That
about a
shit tripped me
20-year
the fuck
time
out.
jump.
That
Right.
shit hurt me because it was like, and I like you say, it makes you feel like, well, how is it gonna go? It's gonna like, is episodes 2, 3, and 4 still gonna be stuck in this time period? And then like see like the second half of being when they do the time jump, we lead up to that, or, and I hate that I'm about to make this thing, is it gonna be like you know how Arrow used to do that whole how Arrow used to do that whole time jump to him being in the past and he learning the situation, then it comes into the forefront of what he was going through in the present. That makes me feel like it might be like that as well, where it's going to be both of the timelines intertwining with each other in episodes. But I kind of wish what I would like to see is them give me the next 2, 3 episodes. Give me one half, them is the one time period, and then give me the second half, give me the time jump. So, because that was a lot. That preview was a lot for me. Like, it was a lot.
I am ready. I am ready for the scene where
like
Allison
I saw a
is
pregnant
about to
belly,
stab
if I'm
Rhaenyra.
not mistaken. I swear to God, I saw a belly that was pregnant.
Oh yeah, it's either Allison or it's Rhaenyra. Like it's one of those two, because they both have children. So so I'm curious because when it was in either the Comic-Con extended preview or one of the, I think it was a Comic-Con extended preview or the one before that, when Allison has like a knife or something and she's about to stab Rhaenyra, but Rhaenyra holds her back. He's like, and Rhaenyra goes, now they see you for who you are. I'm like, oh my God, what is
and that had me shook because I'm like, like just watching that piece, I'm like, oh damn, are they gonna like? Is she gonna be like fully flipped? Like, is she gonna like? Is Allison that weak minded that she's just gonna run with whatever her daddy's saying? If
I mean,
theoretically,
she's a daddy girl at the end of the day, because when he said, "Go on in there and comfort that man."
All I'll say is this for sure. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to what they did.
Mm-hmm.
I got this. I plan on being on every episode of this just to give y'all my unfiltered first opinion thoughts on it. I'm gonna do my best to stay. I did watch like a Watch Mojo video where like the 10 things you might not 10 Easter eggs in the episode. So I there's some things where it's like, oh, maybe if Watch Mojo did their research, then it's accurate or not. But I'll say this, right? There's been a lot of controversy surrounding the prime Game of Thrones timeline. We know there's a Jon Snow. Damn, can I not be heard? Am I low? Let me turn my stuff.
No, you're good to me. I can.
No, Mike was doing this like I was
doing
I was
this.
low. Oh, okay. Back to what I was saying.
That's all. No more camera.
No, because I'm my tech with this mic. I'm not trying to be. I wasn't trying to be funny. With this, we know they're doing a post Song of Ice and Fire storyline with Jon Snow. Kit Harington has already confirmed that he's developing that show, and it's more than likely based off of the numbers that House of Dragon did alone. They are absolutely going to shoot. They're going to shotgun that.
Did you say making a movie?
No, series.
Yeah, they made a Jon Snow show. And going back to the numbers that you said, it broke records. And there's a reason for that, because the Game of Thrones, first of all, it's a production value, because the first episode of Game of Thrones cost $60 million, but the first pilot episode of House of Dragon cost $200 million. So it's like, So we're putting in all this money for the show.
It showed
that y'all, this universe that y'all love. So yeah, y'all better watch. y'all better watch this show, because they knew we were. I mean, they knew we were, because the trailer, like each trailer came out fantastic. Like the acting spot on, like everything as far as marketing for the show, like they knocked it out the park.
Facts. I'll say this, I'm gonna get to it. Do we think that they might retcon the Daenerys death? In like, do you think that because know the backlash, and they know that going back to Game of Thrones, the main I'll say the main present day stuff, do you think that this show or the future shows might retcon Daenerys dying just to bring her back in the show and revitalize the like, not saying that they have to, but do you think that they're going to try to do their best to erase the negative stigma of Game of Thrones' final season and the most some of the most?
I feel like they try to do that even with the premiere episode, just because of how the premiere episode premiered and how it was well put together, and the whole, you had your violence, you had your drama, you had your development, you had every fucking thing in that. So I think they have learned from I think they learned their lesson about Daenerys. I feel like they could, but the only thing because I had a coworker tell me that she's still alive in the books. So
right. That's
and I think that is the biggest issue with the last season. So, and what they told me is that it's possible that she could come back, because it's a way that she could come back, so I would like to explore how she could come back, just because I love Supernatural, I love all that, that type of shit. So if that's where you're gonna go, but I don't think they need it right now.
Facts. I just brought that point up. I bring that point up because I know a lot of people, they'll get enthusiastic, but knowing sometimes when you make a piece of content that's in the past and how things end, and it didn't end well from a structural standpoint, not we planned this out standpoint, but from as a fan, I didn't like how it ended because it was so poorly executed. And the fact that obviously Warner Brothers Discovery wants to go hard in the paint for Game of Thrones, and with good reason. Do you think that they will just go ahead and hit the reset button on that particular moment so they can maximize the storytelling capabilities, especially considering that the book, the holy grail, the bedrock of the franchise, isn't finished yet? So they theoretically can't go, they theoretically can do that to try to make it more in line with the book, because we can already, I would assume rather, that George R.R., he saw the reaction to the final season, and specifically Daenerys' portrayal, and went, nah, fam, I'm not going to tank my book by replicating that. I'm going to have her be a more heroic figure. So that's the only reason I bring it up. I know it's a long shot. This isn't necessarily that line of thinking, more so is in comic books than traditional fantasy. But since I'm more a comic book person, I just, wanted to bring that scenario up to you experts, you veterans of Game of Thrones, to see how y'all felt about it.
And also depends if Emilia Clarke wants to do it or not. Like, if she's like, I'll be, I could be up for maybe guest starring on, Jon Snow, or maybe they might have a Daenerys show where she might pops up. But like I said, it all depends on if she wants to do it. And, she might be like, I'm done playing Daenerys now. She might be like, I'm done with it. Like, the wigs were too hairy, too heavy for me. They were heavy. like, I'm done. So like, it just depends on if the story is good enough and if she wants to do it. Like, if she's in the mood to do it.
Facts, Avia. And to answer this question, in theaters, me and Mike saw it in theaters.
Yes.
And to go to Jay, he said that Dany is going mad in the books, but it will be better because they left out another key character. I will say that is true. I did have heard that, but I will also say that her going mad might not be the final stop for that character. It might just be like something she overcomes. Like, it looks like she's going to go mad, but then in the 12th hour, she remembers who she is, and then she's the hero. But then again, as we all know, The only reason why Game of Thrones ended up being that terrible in the final act was because those dudes admitted to not knowing what the hell they were doing, and they thought that they were going to put out their little Confederate show, and both things did not happen as they shouldn't have. So yeah. So well, this is y'all show, so I'm gonna let y'all say it instead of
go ahead and finish your sentence.
I was just gonna say, is there any final thoughts?
I want to read the books. No shade.
Because I'm so curious. I'm so curious as to what happened.
When I finished the episode Sunday, and then I got on the hashtag and just seeing everybody so excited and seeing what they, seeing everything. And it pisses me off because before I went on vacation, I found the books. They were both $2 a piece. And they were like, I think when I Googled it was book 2 and book 3. And I should have went ahead and got them then. I hope that place still has them because it was a thrift store. So I really hope they still have them. They were $4. So I'm probably going to go back and get them. But no, when I finished, and I'm just happy to be back in this whole type of aesthetic, this universe and everything, because I missed it. Especially, like I said, when I first watched Game of Thrones, I watched it on the hiatus when they was getting ready for the last 2 seasons. So I binge watched it. I binge watched it one time, binge watched it in subtitles because I felt like I was missing what people were saying. But I'm happy. Like I said, I want to read the books. Shit, I saw a family tree, and I'm kind of pissed off because now I want to know how you gonna do that shit. So yeah, I think everybody should watch it. I think that's why I'm glad you came on here, Q, because you have never seen Dragon Ball Z. You've never seen Game of Thrones.
I've seen that.
I thought it was kind of cool that you did watch House of Dragons and then you had the reaction that you had, and I'm glad we discussed that. So I love POVs and I love reactions when people watch stuff. So yes.
Yeah, indeed. Jay said he'll hook you up with an audiobook channel, Mike.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, they definitely learned. The showrunners for this show definitely learned from Game of Thrones season 8 mistakes, because there were so many nods, Easter eggs. They definitely took their time with this show. They knew the direction that they were going in. It's very focused. And it's going in a great direction. Like I said, I'm curious to know what happens now, because now that Rhaenyra has been dubbed officially the King's heir, there's a scene in some trailers where she's bloody, young Rhaenyra, that Rhaenyra is on the dragon bloody, or she gets off the dragon with blood. I'm like, oh, something is going to happen. What is this? And I'm just like, yes, this is what. The stuff about Game of Thrones, this is what attracted us to it in the first place. They pretty much took all the great things of Game of Thrones and put it in here. And it was a great way to get Game of Thrones fans' attention back, to get that fan base back, to get them excited about this high concept fantasy storytelling. And I wish all the episodes dropped in one day.
Girl, when I went and saw the schedule, I was like, God damn, we going all the way to October.
Are there any breaks?
No. There is no break.
So you mean we got 12 episodes?
I think, hold on. Let me find the schedule, but there is no breaks. Hold on. I saw it. I should have saved it, but I didn't save it. But there is no breaks. I don't think there's no breaks. I didn't look like it was no breaks.
Maybe 8 episodes, probably 8 or 10 episodes. Normally, that's the normal amount. I
think it was 10. But no, everybody watch it. We're going to recap it every week, though, for real, because I think it is something that I think we all will enjoy it. It's fucking drama, it's violence, it's all that type of stuff, and I think we all will enjoy it. So, yeah, that's all I got to say.
And I will say that I intend on keeping up with this show at all costs, and I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to experiencing this, watching it. Hopefully, like I said, my enthusiasm doesn't wane. It keeps my attention. And maybe this isn't the last fantasy show I watch cold turkey.
No, Josh, you're recapping Lord of the Rings. You
now I'm glad Josh said this. because all I'll say is that maybe House of Dragons won't be the only high fantasy story that I watch cold turkey.
But no,
maybe
you are recapping it, Josh. Don't. You told me the last, what was that, 3 episodes ago, maybe 3 weeks ago.
He said how? He said he asking you how.
He's supposed to be recapping it.
He said spaces, do a spaces. Josh definitely got the
spaces.
Josh,
you are more than welcome to come on one of our episodes and talk an episode, whatever episode you want of, the Lord of the Rings prequel show. You are more than welcome to come talk it. But I know you know the lore down pat, like you know it, like you know that shit. Like, and I just watched all the movies, and I'm really about to watch the extended cuts like right before the series comes out. But no, like the stuff, like. We would love to hear your thoughts, like for real. So stop playing.
I genuinely think Josh, you should do a Twitter Spaces every week.
Yes, please.
Comes out, and because you got the reach, you got the reach, you got people that listen to you and like your opinions on it. And I say you link up with folks, and like I say. This Venn diagram of the stuff we normally talk about and Lord of the Rings, it's basically a flat circle. So you can get you folks in there and talk about this.
Discord, if y'all do that. Discord.
Folks, the streets want to hear what you got to say. Not just
Discord.
We would love to. We would love for you to talk about Lord of the Rings. Rings of Power on a platform, we would definitely support it.
Like I said, how about this? Because we're gonna recap it. Just come on one of our episodes, and you can just talk about everything you need to say, and just keep it like that.
Yes.
And then that's it. You don't. That I think that will just seal the deal and keep it moving and keep it. I just think no, for real. But a lot of us do appreciate your. Oh my God! At least we didn't block you, So I mean, no, I am excited about that. Like I said, I'm gonna watch the extended versions before the series come out, and I have not been watching the trailers because I want to be surprised. I want to be open. They do what I have seen does look good, so I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and also dropping tomorrow at 11 a.m. It's going down at the pink and then the valley where the girls get naked. If you throw a vase and she go shake it. But hey. No, y'all, for real. Me and Mike are covering P-Valley seasons 1 and 2 tomorrow. Our episode of What's the Tea drops tomorrow. So if you're a fan of P-Valley, if you know somebody who's a fan of P-Valley, please spread the word because we have some thoughts.
Yes, and I will say that I'll say that y'all talking about that show make me want to go down the street to the Pink Pony Strip Club myself. But
why is it called the Pink Pony Strip?
It's the pink. It's not the Pink Pony. It's just called the Pink Pony. But I just want to, for those who don't, the folks, because some folks might not have known I was talking about a strip club.
No,
so I said,
we don't want shrimp.
No, not shrimp, Mike. Strip, not shrimp.
Oh, that was funny.
The Pink Pony Strip Club, not shrimp. Strip.
Come on.
But yeah, again,
yes, we love Whisper.
But yes, again, that is tomorrow at 11.
Yes.
11 a.m., 12 noon Eastern on here. Avia and Mike, they will be talking about P-Valley, another episode. Y'all getting 2 episodes of What's the Tea? And yeah, some other stuff might be coming too at the end of the week. We'll let y'all know as the days turn, as days go by. It's a bit of love with the family. But yeah, that's what I was waiting on.
Oh, I just
internet. I just want to. It's okay.
I just want to thank you, Aaron. I was giving all three of y'all names mixed up and somehow came up with Aaron. I want to thank you, Mike and Avia, for inviting me on to What's the Tea to talk about this stuff.
You're gonna be reviewing it, so shut up. It's okay. Like,
but they're still not my show. This y'all show. So
nobody's show is everybody's show. If you have a show that has tea about something that you enjoy, you conversate about it. That's all we do.
Right.
It ain't, we cleaned up a mess and we put it in a teapot.
Wait, whoa! I'm not. We drinking mess? I thought we were drinking tea.
Right. You turn the mess into tea.
I said, hey, it's good for y'all. It's great for me.
Period.
But thank y'all for tuning in, watching this live edition of What's the Tea. Who knows? It might go live every time now. Who knows? That might be the new norm. But in any case, y'all know who it is. Y'all know who it is. It is us, the folks.
The
outro. And we will see y'all later. Support animation always and forever. Everybody say peace.
Peace.
Say peace. My finger was too fast. Say peace again, Avia.
Oh my God.
Wait, she was cut off. I'm gonna make sure these folks hear her say peace.
And now you sound like a robot.
Peace.